Okay. So, very good evening to everyone. Welcome to this seventh workshop organized by the project team on improving and exporting Hong Kong industrialized construction services under the Belt and Road Initiative. We have to arrange this workshop online because of the new coronavirus. Maybe one potential benefit for all the participants is that you save some time to travel from your maybe home, your workplace to our campus. So you can enjoy the presentation at a place which is convenient to you. Okay, maybe at home or maybe at office. Okay, I just give you a very brief background. This is a project funded by the Professional Services Advancement Support Scheme of the Hong Kong government. As the title indicates, this is a project trying to improve our industry's capacities and also improving our competitive advantage in providing the construction services to other countries under the Belt and Road Initiative, primarily some developing countries. Okay, let me move on to the aims of this project. As I mentioned, this is a project aimed to improve and enhance the competitiveness of our construction services and to facilitate the integration of new technologies in industrialized construction. I think this is a term maybe familiar to some of you. We have been promoting the other terms called modular integrated construction, MIC. This industrialized construction is a generic term for MIC. MIC is one form of industrialized construction. And also to encourage collaborations in exporting our construction services. Okay, so this is a project supported strongly by the Hong Kong Construction Association. As you can see, the project team, I'm the project leader, supported by Surveyor Thomas Sear. He's the chief executive of the Hong Kong Construction Association. Also, our colleagues, Dr. Justina Yung, she is the manager of the Belt and Road Liaison Unit of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. So without further ado, I would like to first of all thank you for your participation in this seventh workshop. I believe some of you have attended the previous workshops we have organized last year, and look forward to welcoming you again in our future workshops. So I'll pass these slides to Irfan. He's the project associate work on this project. Irfan, back to you.
Thank you very much, Professor Shen. Now I will present the workshop rundown. Initially, with the introduction of the speaker, the presentation will be given by the speaker, and then it will be followed by a question and answer session. And in the end, we will have a very short feedback poll. So during this presentation, I would like to request all of you to please keep your mic mute during the presentation. Today's workshop is being, the invited speaker is Mrs. Adeju Johnson Ogneville. He is currently a doctoral researcher at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. He did his bachelor's degree and master of technology in quantity surveying with distinction from the Federal University of Technology, Akure in Nigeria. He also is a trained quantity surveyor who has worked as graduate assistant lecturer in the same university. Currently, he is working on embodied energy and emission accounting in the construction industry with a special focus on multi-regional, multi-sectoral energy and emission interactions in China's construction sector. Now I hand over the presentation to the Mr. Johnson. Welcome, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you very much, Ifan, for this wonderful introduction. I would like to first start by thanking the past committee for this opportunity given to me to present in this workshop today. And also special thanks to my supervisor and also the project leader for the past project, that is Professor Geoffrey Shen, for giving me this opportunity also. I would like to thank Ifan again for the organization of this project, even amidst the situation we find ourselves in the world. And I hope we all stay safe and we keep being healthy. My name is Ogunbile Adedayo Johnson, and as Ifan has said, I'm a doctoral researcher in the Department of Building and Real Estate of the Department of the Hong Kong Polytechnic University. I am a Nigerian, and I believe that is what qualifies me to present this in this workshop today. In front of me, and as you can see on the screen, is the topic I would like to talk on for the next 1 hour or thereabout. The topic is exporting industrialized construction under the Belt and Road Initiative, Nigeria, a market yet untapped. Shortly, let's take a look at the rundown of the outline. I'll first talk on the overview of the Belt and Road Initiative. Then I'll talk on Nigeria and China partnership. I'll move to the Nigerian housing market. The fourth thing I'll talk about is the industrialized construction. I'll talk on the market entry and optimization, and I'll conclude and answer some few questions that may arise. However, before I go deep into the presentation proper, I would like to talk about Nigeria, which is the object of this presentation. I know some of you might have heard about the country before. Maybe some of you have been to Nigeria before. However, I would like to just make a quick overview talk on the country Nigeria for some of us that are yet to visit the country or that have not heard about the country maybe in time past. This is the globe, and shaded in green is a map that shows the location of Nigeria on the African continent. Nigeria is a country in the western part of Africa. It shares boundary with Benin Republic on the west coast. On the northern part of Nigeria, Nigeria shares boundary with Niger Republic. On the far east, there is the Chad Republic, and on the eastern side is Cameroon. Where also on the south of Nigeria is the Atlantic Ocean. The dot on the map shows the capital city of Nigeria, which is named Abuja. Nigeria covers a land of 923,763 square kilometers. Our official language is English language. We practice a democratic system of government, and which makes Nigeria the largest democratic nation on the African continent because of our population, which is almost 200 million as at present. System of government we practice in Nigeria is the presidential system of government. That is, we have the legislative arm, we have the judiciary, and we have the executive arms working together for the same purpose. The tiers of government in Nigeria are the federal government, the state, and the local. The federal government is the central government that coordinates the affairs of the state and the local, while the state government is run by the governors. The local government is run by the local administrators. In Nigeria, presently, we have 36 states and we have 37 local government areas. Nigeria was formerly a colony of the British Empire from the year 1851 to 1960. In year 1960, Nigeria got up independence from Britain, and since then, every 1st of October has been celebrated as our Independence Day. I think something we share with China, which is the National Day, October 1st. let's talk about the religion in Nigeria. Basically, there are three major religions in Nigeria. Two are the Muslims, that is Islam religion, which covers 50% of the total population. The Christians are 40% of the population, while the remaining 10 are indigenous believers. In Nigeria, we speak over 250 languages and an estimated idolate of 400 to 500. It is believed that as a Nigerian, if you drive 35 to 40 minutes from the position you were born or the position you live in, it will become difficult for you to even understand the language that is being spoken in the place you get to after 45 minutes, 40 to 35 to 40 minutes. And that is what we call, as Nigerians, we call it our strength in diversity. That is, we believe we have the strength that other nations might not have. This is how we dress in Nigeria. Some of the tribes in Nigeria are represented in this picture. I believe by the time you see anybody dressed in this type of attire, next time you know that this person is probably from Nigeria. However, there are three major tribes in Nigeria that dominate in the country. The first are the Yoruba people. They occupy the southwestern part of Nigeria. We have the Hausas that predominantly in the north, and we have the Igbos that predominant in the east of Nigeria. By the time I go on in this presentation, there are a lot of things that you will still learn about Nigeria. Let's go properly into the presentation. The Belt and Road Initiative. The Belt and Road Initiative is a global development strategy adopted by Chinese government in the year 2013, involving infrastructure and development and investment. Presently, there are over 70 countries that subscribe to this initiative, which include countries from Africa, Asia, Europe, Americas, and also China as the host of them all. The purpose of this Belt and Road Initiative is to construct a unified large market and make full use of both international and domestic markets through cultural exchange and integration to enhance mutual benefit and understanding and trust between the member nations. The Belt and Road Initiative was formerly called One Belt, One Road, which is a short form for the Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road. This Belt and Road Initiative was birthed in 2013 when the pronouncement was made by President Xi in Kazakhstan, where he talked about the formation of the Belt and Road Initiative, the purpose, the aim, and what it meant to be. The intention is to improve China's investment, foreign investment in other countries by showing that China is becoming a world power, not just becoming a world power, but helping other nations to also improve in their investment and also in their infrastructural development. This is what the Belt and Road Initiative is all about. And ever since 2013, there have been many projects that have gone far beyond the shores of Asia to Africa, to Europe, and other countries of the world. This is a video to show the Belt and Road Initiative summary. I don't know if you can hear that. Okay. I think we're having issues with that. I would like to move on. Let's go to China's Belt and Road Initiative and foreign investment in Africa. The map shown on the screen is a map of Africa, which shows some of the countries that have benefited from China's Belt and Road Initiative over the past years. If you look at it, there are many countries, including Guinea, Zambia, Niger, Nigeria, Senegal, South Africa, Mozambique, the DR Congo, Kenya, and Ethiopia are some of the countries that have benefited from the Belt and Road Initiative and the foreign direct investment in Africa by China. In Nigeria, Nigeria has benefited on the coastal railway project, which is an estimated of $12 billion US, and oil refinery of estimated amount of $6.4 billion. These are some of the projects that have been done on the African continent using the Belt and Road Initiative. The first one is the Mombasa-Nairobi Railway in Kenya. This railway links Kenya's capital city, that is Nairobi, to Kenya's commercial now, that is Mombasa. And with this project, it has improved the movement and economic situation between the two cities in Kenya and has improved greatly the economy of the nation. The second railway is that of Ethiopia and Djibouti. This links two neighboring countries that have been in war for a very long time. And it has linked the two countries in terms of trade and economic partnership. Let's take a look at sectoral involvement of Chinese foreign direct investment in Africa. Presently, it is believed that 30% of the foreign investment of the Chinese in Africa are targeted towards the transport sector. Another 33% is in the energy sector. The real estate sector takes 11%, while the utility sector takes another 11%. I would like to talk about Nigeria relations with the Belt and Road Initiative, which is the main reason why we are here today. Nigeria is among the 44 African countries that have subscribed, that have signed the Memorandum of Understanding with Beijing. That makes Nigeria an active member of the Belt and Road Initiative. On the African region, African Union as an entity has keyed into this initiative, having 44 members out of 55 member countries that have signed up for this initiative. That makes only 11 countries that are yet to be part of the Belt and Road Initiative in Africa. Nigeria has had its fair share of many infrastructural projects over the years, as government is rapidly engaging the Chinese, and also the Chinese are present in Nigeria in the large quantity. You will see that as we move on in the presentation. Although Nigeria joined the initiative in 2019, the full potential of the Belt and Road Initiative is yet to be achieved in the country. Reasons why I will explain as we go on in the presentation. Let's talk about China-Nigeria relations over the years. The first diplomatic relations between China and Nigeria was that occurred in February 10, 1971. That was the first time Nigeria signed a diplomatic relations agreement with China. This is coming after the Nigerian Civil War, when Nigeria needed to rebuild the country, and China was seen as a trusted partner in helping the country to rebuild. And ever since then, Nigeria and China relationship has was stronger, and by next year, the relations will clock 50 years. In 2018, Nigeria took a bold step to enhance and to enrich the partnership between the two nations by adopting Chinese yuan as the reserve currency. Prior to that time, it used to be only the US dollar that was our reserve currency, but in 2018, Chinese yuan was added, and this has strengthened the ties between the two countries over the last 2 years. Presently, Nigeria is China's largest trading partner in Africa, not just because of the population, but also because of the investment that China has made in Nigeria. Let's take a look at some of the statistics behind this. In the year 2011, China was Nigeria's second trading partner after the United States of America. If you can see there, the United States of America imports goods worth of $10.5 billion US into Nigeria in 2011, while China imported goods worth almost $9 billion US into Nigeria, even far beyond what other African countries traded with Nigeria in that year. Let's look at how Nigeria fares on the African region. In 2011, 17% of the total investment in Africa from China was in Nigeria. The next country to it was Angola, and the next one was also Angola and Ethiopia. If you combine the two countries together, you will see that they are not even up to what Nigeria alone enjoyed as Chinese investment in the country. And from that 2011 to 2016, the investment grew from 17% to 27%, and in 2017, it was at 33%. China has already invested over 22 billion worth of projects, dollar worth of projects in Nigeria, and China's total infrastructure investment in Nigeria has climbed up to $15 billion. These are statistics from the PricewaterhouseCoopers in Nigeria. Let's look at the firms present in Nigeria. Presently, as of 2017, there are 240 Chinese firms in Nigeria, and they were handling over 404 projects in Nigeria, far beyond any other country on the shores of Africa. This can be seen in this headline from one of the leading newspapers in Nigeria, which says Chinese firms handling 47 billion key federal government projects. Railway alone takes 33 billion, and power supply takes 10 billion. Let's take a look at some of the projects that have been done in Nigeria by through Chinese investment and by Chinese companies. This is Abuja-Kaduna Railway. This railway connects Nigeria's capital city, that is Abuja, to one of Nigeria's most populated cities, that is Kaduna in the north. This project was the first standard gauge railway modernization project in Nigeria. It was started in February 2011 and was completed and commissioned in December 2014. It covers a distance of 2,733 kilometers, and the cost of construction was $874 million. The construction company that handled this project was the China Civil and Engineering Construction Company, and during the construction, 4,000 jobs were created. And during the process of operation, which it is in presently, another 5,000 jobs have been created. That shows that this project alone has created over 9,000 direct and indirect jobs. This is another railway project which links Lagos and Ibadan. It should be noted that Lagos is the commercial nerve of Nigeria, it has the biggest economy in Nigeria, and Ibadan is the largest city in Nigeria, which is actually the second largest city in the African continent after Cairo. This rail connects the largest city with the largest population to the largest city with the largest economy in Nigeria, which is very important to the economic state of Nigeria. This project was awarded at the cost of $1.58 billion. It covers a distance of 157 kilometers. Presently, it is at 60% completion stage. It is also being handled by the same company that did the Kaduna-Abuja rail, and it is estimated that over 5,000 jobs will be created during the construction process. This is another project that is being handled by a Chinese firm and also backed with Chinese investment. This is the Mambila hydroelectric power station. At the completion of this power station, it is expected that it will be the largest hydroelectric power station in Nigeria, with an installed capacity of 3.05 gigawatts of electricity. It is located in Taraba State, which is in the middle belt of Nigeria. It is presently under construction, like I mentioned. The cost of construction is estimated to be around $5.8 billion US. The duration of construction is from 2017 to 2030. It is expected that this construction project will generate a minimum of 50,000 direct, temporary, and permanent jobs. It is being funded by the federal government of Nigeria with association with the Export and Import Bank of China. This is the company that is handling the project. That is, we have three Chinese companies that form the consortium to handle this project. It is not only in construction that Nigeria is enjoying Chinese investment. Also in the agri sector, Nigeria is enjoying Chinese investment, as presently it is expected that $25 billion US will be invested in the Nigeria agri sector 2020. Also, a grant was given to Nigeria by Chinese government in agricultural development worth of $5.45 billion. And these are some of the pictures, some of the farms that China has invested in Nigeria, which shows that China is also interested in food security and food development in Nigeria. However, noting the involvement of China in Nigeria, it is shown that it has been directed towards mainly the agriculture, power, and railway construction, that is the transport industry. Less has been done when it comes to the housing sector. I would like us to take a look at the housing sector situation and condition in Nigeria. If we go back to our basic economics, we'll remember the Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. On the base of the hierarchy is the physiological need. The physiological need comprises of air, that is oxygen that we're breathing, food, water, and shelter. Shelter can be likened to housing, that is securing your household under a shelter in a befitting housing condition. It is believed that if the physiological needs are not met, the safety and security needs, love and belongingness, self-esteem, and self-actualization, which form the later part of the pyramid, cannot be achieved. That shows the importance of housing to an individual life. Housing is one of the best indicators of a person's standard of living and its place in the society. The performance of the housing sector is one of the yardsticks by which the health of a nation is measured. In most developed economies, the housing sector is seen as an important sector for stimulating economic growth. In Nigeria, however, this has largely remained an unfulfilled dream because most of the population, majority of the population live in unexpected housing and not befitting housing for their status. Let's take a look at the statistics that surround the sector contribution of Nigeria's economy. Presently, it is estimated that the real estate sector in Nigeria contributes only 5.58% to the overall economic growth in Nigeria. And this can be seen as a bit low compared with other developed countries in the world. Let's look at some of the statistics and numbers that surround this market. Presently in Nigeria, as of 2010, the population of Nigeria was at 158 million people. It rose from there in 2018 to 195 million, and presently Nigeria is about hitting the 200 million mark. It is expected by United Nations in 2017 that by the year 2050, Nigeria will become third most populous nation on earth after India, China, even surpassing the United States with an estimated population of 410 million people. The population growth rate in Nigeria presently is at 2.6%, which is very huge. Urbanization rate in Nigeria is at 50%. That means 50% of the people live in urban centers, which is crowded. And it is believed that highest concentration of homelessness are in the urban centers. That is places like Abuja, Lagos, Kano, Port Harcourt, and Ibadan. In 2017, the Center for Affordable Housing Finance in Africa and also the United Nations came out with some staggering figures to define the housing market in Nigeria. It was said in 2017 that the housing stock in Nigeria is in deficit of 17 to 20 million housing units. They said that with the growth rate of 5.4%, it is estimated that by 2030, more than 6 million housing unit deficits will be experienced in only 4 major cities of Nigeria, that is Lagos, Ibadan, Kano, and Port Harcourt. Empirical studies have shown that 75% of the urban settlers live in slums and in proper housing, which is not good for their healthy status as discussed in the Abraham Maslow slide. And for Nigeria to bridge this gap, it is estimated that a minimum of 1 million housing units has to be added to the housing stock on a yearly basis till 2033. Let's look at how we fared in the country. This is government response to that statistics. First, the government created Family Homes Fund, which was targeted at creating a minimum of 100,000 housing units every year. However, this was only achieved at 5%. That means there was 95% failure. Also, there was a recapitalization of the defunct National Housing Fund, which was targeted as adding 500,000 housing units to the national housing stock every year from 2014 to 2019. On this, only 20% success rate was achieved. Also, there was increased funding in the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. This is the bank that is saddled with the responsibility of giving out housing loans to Nigerians. The federal government also created the National Mortgage Guarantee Company and Mortgage Interest Drawback Fund in 2017. However, a study by the World Bank shows that for Nigeria to breach this 70 million housing deficit, a whopping sum of 59.5 trillion naira, that is like 1.12 trillion RMB, is expected to be pumped into the housing sector in Nigeria, which is very fast, enormous for the government to achieve. So in 2017, the government realized that this tax was overwhelming for them to subdue alone. So the sector was opened up to private and foreign investors. So we have a problem at hand, which is housing situations. I would like to suggest for this presentation some solutions. And the first solution I will suggest is the solution coming from the Belt and Road Initiative. By extension of Belt and Road Initiative into Africa through Nigeria in the housing sector, I believe there is something can be done to achieve the numbers of housing that is required in the nation. By this, we have foreign investment into Nigeria, which will improve the financial status and administration status of the industry, and also a better technology and delivery process, which I suggest prefabrication. Let's talk about some problems that we face in the Nigerian construction industry, because if we have the solution, it is the Nigerian construction industry that would bring this to reality. The first problem is the enormosity of the project. It is expected that we need 17 to 20 million housing, that is 1 million housing units every year. And the construction industry in Nigeria is incapable to supply this number owing to the fact that it lacks funding and it lacks the manpower. Another problem faced in the construction industry in Nigeria is the issue of time delay. It is estimated by Ojo and Akradewo in 2017 that Nigeria experiences between 50 to 70% time delay. And when there is delay in time delivery of projects, most likely, and even in most conditions, there is also cost overrun. This is another problem. Another problem that is being faced is the issue of environmental pollution and wastage, which is very critical to the world now when we are talking about climate change and material management. The last one I would like to discuss is the issue of the technology being used in Nigerian construction industry. Presently, we use majorly the traditional method of construction, that is the cast in situ concrete, which can be said to be a bit archaic and obsolete. So I would like to make a case for industrialized construction as a solution to these problems. Number one is the ideal way of addressing this housing challenge through the mass customization and production that industrialized construction provides, and also the quality assurance that is provided by the industrialized construction. Also, the industrialized construction is a sustainable process. Experience from developed countries like Singapore, Hong Kong, United States of America, and Netherlands, and even China shows that this type of construction process has a cleaner process and also is environmental sustainable. The last point I would like to raise in this regard is the issue of political instability in Nigeria. It is expected that every four years, Nigeria changes government after election. Most problems that the construction industry face when it comes to building naturalization is the issue of discontinuity. When the new government comes in place, the first thing they do is to discontinue the project that's been handled by the previous government. And this has led to a lot of project abandonment in Nigeria. It is believed that if we adopt a type of construction that takes into consideration time, that maximizes time, it is possible for us to have the numbers that is required in the housing stock within the shortest time frame possible. So let's talk about what industrialized construction is all about itself. I would like to start from telling a little story about the history of man and building innovations. This type of building is the first that was first known to man as an innovation. This is mud using building frames as the doorposts. From there, we move to this, which is use of thatch roof and timber, which looks a bit more beautiful than the previous one. And from there, man discovered the use of lime and concrete and cement, which was used to form buildings that look like this. However, subsequent improvements led to the discovery of concrete and reinforcement, which made man to be able to build as high and to the required strength that it desires. And with more mechanization in the process, adopted in the process, man was able to have buildings that we live in now, example of which I'm showing on the slide. However, this type of construction is called the conventional cast in situ concrete, which is believed to be risky. That is, accident rate on this type of construction is very high. Another problem is the issue of waste, material waste, that is a bit rampant in this type of construction. We know time is of the essence. However, in this type of construction, most times we may not be able to determine the time of construction owing to some variations that occur during the process. And also, it requires a large number of construction workers on the construction site. So we talk about an improvement to this process, which is brought about by the use of industrialized building construction. The pictures on the slide show some of the various types of industrialized construction that has been proposed and that has been used in recent times, from the manufacturing process even to the point of assembly. Let's define industrialized construction. Industrialized construction is an integration of manufacturing procedures into construction process. Just like we have in the motor industry, where the different parts goes through the assembly line and they are coupled together to form a unit. That is the same thing we are talking about when we talk about industrialized building construction. In this type of construction, it requires a specialized facility in which the manufacturing are made using the normal construction materials that we use on the normal construction site, only for them to be joined together in those factories and they transported to site for just the final installation. This type of construction is called so many names depending on the application and depending on the place of its application. Some of the names are off-site construction, prefabrication, modular integrated construction, like Professor mentioned earlier, modular construction, industrial system of building, pre-assembly, and many more. There are different levels to industrialized construction. Basically, there are 3 levels. The first level is the component and sub-assembly level, which includes just little parts of the building are prefabricated from offsite. The second one is non-volumetric pre-assembly, where we have the slab, the columns, the beams, and possibly the stairs as prefabricated elements. The last one is the volumetric pre-assembly. In this volumetric pre-assembly, most of the parts are done, the fittings are done in the manufacturing plant. The only thing that is being done on the construction site is the installation and coupling together of these modules. Let's take a look at some of the success stories that have been recorded in time past when we talk about prefabricated construction in the world. This is a 30-story building, hotel building in China. This building was built in just 15 days, from December 2nd to 17th in 2011. It is known as the C30 because of the numbers of floors that it has. Construction work was done both day and night, and at the end of the construction, they were able to achieve this building, which is still beautifully standing till date. Another example is this 57-story residential skyscraper in Hunan province in China. This was built and fully constructed in only 19 days, and this was done in 2014. And you look at the picture by the downside of the slide of the screen, you will see the building is still standing and people are still living in it. Recently, because of the corona outbreak, the Chinese government needed to combat the spread and needed to treat people in befitting hospitals. This hospital was built in Hubei region, province of China, and I think every one of us know about this hospital that has 1,000 bed capacity. The question people were asking was, how did China construct an hospital within just 10 days? The answer is simple. The use of prefabricated units was the key for achieving this type of construction in a limited time. This has shown the importance prefabricated construction and industrialized construction has brought to the construction industry as a whole. Let's take a look at some of the advantages of industrialized construction. Number one, according to Jadon and Poon in 2009, it was estimated that this type of construction saves 52% of materials, that is waste reduction on the construction site. Second advantage I would like to talk about is less workers are required on the construction site. One is on the quality control measures that is being taken when using this type of construction. It comes with better quality because they are manufactured in specialized manufacturing plants where all quality checks are being done properly before transporting to the construction site for installation. Also, one of the advantages that this type of construction provides is shorter construction time, which is one of the reasons why it is being adopted all over the world. Noise control is also an important part of industrialized construction, and it is important because most of the buildings that is required to fill the housing stock in Nigeria are to be created in the urban centers where noise pollution is expected to be reduced to the barest minimum. And the last one I would like to talk about is the need for limited space. This also is in line with the previous advantage I talked about, which include involve the space, the area that the housing stock is needed, that is the urban centers. In urban centers, they are very crowded and limited space is provided for construction process. If you are able to use this type of construction, of course, we'll be able to manage the space and be able to achieve the same goal that we achieve using the conventional method. I would like to have a recap before I move to the next stage of the presentation on the building construction problems and the housing stock market in Nigeria. Presently, in Nigeria, it is believed that there are 17 to 20 million units of housing deficit, and the increasing population and urbanization rate, according to UN, United Nations in 2017, shows that it's not helping the matter. The problem of low productivity caused by the conventional caste in situ method is also an issue. And the last problem I talked about is the problem of environmental sustainability issues that comes with the caste in situ method. In order to talk about the market potential and optimization in Nigeria, I would like to approach it using the PERSU approach. The PERSU approach talks about politics, economics, economy, social, technology, environment, and legal structure of the market. First, let's talk about politics. The politics surrounding the Belt and Road Initiative all over the world is showing great concern. If you look at the Belt and Road Initiative that China has in mind and the political war of words that is going against the Belt and Road Initiative, it brings us to ask questions. This is what China has in mind. China believes the Belt and Road Initiative is here to stay because it is a reflection of the country's vision of itself as a world power and also ensuring the stability of its neighbors. When we talk about neighbors now, we are talking about all the member countries that have signed up for the Belt and Road Initiative all over the world, including African countries, which Nigeria is among. However, there is criticism of this initiative by other countries, especially the United States of America. This is a statement coming from the Vice President of the United States of America in 2018. It reads, Pence wants Asia Pacific not to trade sovereignty for investment in base swap at Beijing. The statement reads in part, here the terms of those loans are often opaque at best. Projects they support are often unsustainable and poor quality. Too often they come with strings attached and lead to staggering debt. It should be noted that presently the United States of America is the largest trading partner with Nigeria. And whatever comes out of the United States is taken with great magnitude in Nigeria. Also, this is a statement coming from Myanmar, which says the China-Bar Dam was about to be stopped because of the strained bilateral ties between the two countries. Another work is that of Pakistan, owing to the fact of too strict conditions that are attached to the Belt and Road project. This is also from Malaysia, which says that the China-backed $20 billion project was shaky. And this is a popular one from Sri Lanka on the port that was handed over to Chinese companies because of the debt profile. This has caused fear and doubt when it comes to BRI actualization in other countries that are just signed up to it or that are yet to sign up to it. However, what I believe should be pushed forward by China and to make other developing nations to understand is that in Africa, US is playing a catch-up game. China alone has invested $200 billion in trade on the African continent, which is double of what the United States has invested in the continent. This shows that China is a friend of Africa. China understands the people of Africa, and China is ready to help not just in trade, but also in infrastructural projects. Also, it should be pushed forward that China is remodeling the railway system in East Africa. An example of the slide I showed earlier of Kenya, Ethiopia, and Djibouti. Also, Another thing that I think that should be pushed and should be said to them is that China has been able to identify the lapses and in this Belt and Road Initiative, and better risk control assessment are being done to achieve the objectives that were set initially for the Belt and Road Initiative. I believe if all these are being pushed forward and being preached to the countries, the issue of fear and doubt concerning the Belt and Road Initiative can be managed. And also, it should be noted that Nigeria, and like other African countries, were colonized for a long time. And one of the fears they have is the issue of colonization. No country is ready to be colonized by another country. And this is what the other countries are pushing towards them. It needs to be shown and it needs to be clarified that these projects are not meant as colonizing Africa, but in helping Africa to develop its own infrastructural projects. Let's talk about economy. This map shows the BRIC country and the MINT country. And the MINT country is Nigeria. Other countries are Mexico, Indonesia, and Turkey. While in the BRIC country are Brazil, Russia, India, China. The combination of these two economic countries form the Eagle country, that is the emerging and growth leading economies. If you look at the map very closely, you will discover that only Nigeria features on the map in Africa. That shows that in Africa, Nigeria has a huge market for foreign investment. Presently, the real GDP growth in Nigeria is at 2.3%. That is at 2019 year ending. Let's look at Nigeria on African picture. Presently in Africa, Nigeria contributes 36.7% GDP to the African growth on the whole. Nigeria's economy is worth $594 billion, which is $250 billion more than the next country to it, that is South Africa, which is a BRICS nation also. Nigeria is by far Africa's top foreign investment destination. Nigeria has the best GDP in Africa. Nigeria has the best rate of return on investment in Africa. And surely Nigeria is a gateway to Africa's enormous and emerging economy. However, while trying to implement this type of construction in Nigeria, it should be noted that affordability is key. We need to talk about the design. We need to talk about how affordable these designs are to the common man in Nigeria. It should be noted that Nigeria is a middle income and mixed economy with an emerging market. Presently, Nigeria's economy depends majorly on importation, and this has made the economy to not stand side by side with some of the advanced economies in the world. Presently, Nigerian government is expanding manufacturing, financial services, communication, technology, and entertainment sectors, neglecting the housing sector. The minimum wage in Nigeria is average 30,000 naira per month. That is less than $83 per month. This could mean two things. One, it can mean cheap labor availability in Nigeria, which is good for this type of construction. The second thing is the need for affordability when we talk about designs. If these are put in place, I believe the type of designs we are talking about here, that is industrialized construction, can thrive in Nigeria and can be successful in the country. Let's go to social. When we talk about social, we talk about people. A change is not complete without the acceptance by people that are involved. So I would like to talk about social in the concept of people and change. In the change theory, it is believed that the first thing we need to do is to set long-term goals, and at the same time identifying necessary preconditions for a change to occur and remain successful after. In achieving this, I would like to suggest Kotler-Wins change model to explain this. The Kotler-Wins change model comprises of 3 elements. The first element is the unfreezing. The second element is changing, and the third element is refreezing. A change process is a process of the mind. Presently, Nigerians have different norms and different beliefs when it comes to how their buildings should be. Nigerians believe in space, which prefabricated construction might not actually provide. So there is need for us to first understand the concept of the mind of the people in Nigeria and the reason why these people will want to resist this change. If we're able to understand this, we can be able to unfreeze them by giving adequate communication and convictions to reasons why they need to understand that it is about need and it's not about want. Then we can implement the change. And after the implementation of the change, there is need to refreeze, that is, there is need to reinforce, stabilize, and solidify this change process. If we're able to do that, I believe the construction process we are talking about here can be achieved. To achieve this change, there is need to identify the key stakeholders, including the end users, and be able to understand what their expectations are, align the objective of prefabricated construction to the expectations of the people, and to understand what is needed by the people in order to be able to design what suits the people. So there is need for the social behavior of the market to be adequately evaluated. By evaluating this social behavior, we'll be able to achieve wide accessibility of prefabricated construction and also ensure sustainability of this project. And achieving sustainability makes satisfaction to be achieved. I'd like to go to technology. We all know that China is a leading technological hub in the world. An increased manufacturing technology is expected to achieve if prefabricated construction is adopted in Nigeria. That is, Nigeria has a lot to gain when it comes to the adoption of the prefabricated construction coming from China in supply chain management, in the procurement system, inventory control, the logistics market. All those coming together will increase the technological base of Nigeria. However, there is something that needs to be put into consideration. There needs to be an healthy partnership. There is need to localize this technology through adequate trainings of the locals. It's not enough to just bring in Chinese to man this process. It is important that the people need to be carried along in this technological change. And that will make them to even accept the technology that is being brought to them. Let's talk about environment and the legal structure. Nigeria consists of people that are loving. They provide suitable environment for any individual coming to invest into the country. This is a statement from an expatriate in Nigeria, which says Nigeria are the most hospitable people in the world. This is true. If you look at the picture on the right, that is Emmanuel Macron, that's the president of France on his visit to Nigeria. After his visit, he said that Nigeria is a peace-loving country and a country that welcomes visitors. This is a picture of a Nigerian extending hand of fellowship to a Chinese lady. And this is because we believe as Nigerians that it is in our nature and part of our cultural flavor to be hospitable to people. And this is what foreign investment needs. Foreign investors need to be sure that the people are welcoming and ready to partner with them, which Nigerian people and the Nigerian environment provide. In Nigeria, there are many enormous natural resources, most of which are yet to be fully exploited. Apart from the oil that we boast of in Nigeria, Nigeria's other natural resources include natural gas, tin, iron, ore, coal, limestone, timber, lead, zinc, and many other materials that are useful for construction process. So in Nigeria, there is no need for importing materials. Most of the materials that is needed for this type of construction are there in Nigeria, just waiting to be explored and used. The legal system in Nigeria is favorable for foreign investment. Like I mentioned the other time, that the Nigerian government has thrown open this sector to foreign investment. That is, they've relaxed some of the strict laws that foreign investors have to go through when investing into Nigeria. There's no denying the fact that tremendous opportunities for foreign direct investment exist in Nigeria. It's only left for the foreign investors to tap into it and they use it to their advantage. However, it should be noted that in Nigeria, we are very traditional people. We believe in our traditional system. So it is important to respect the norms and laws of the country for healthy partnership to be achieved in the country. Before I complete this, I would like to talk about the potential benefits that this partnership can mean to China. One, expansion in Chinese global trade by partnering with Africa's largest economic nation. Also, what Nigeria can provide can never be achieved on any African country due to the population and the housing services stock that we established in our earlier slide. Also, the linkages between African countries can be created through Nigeria if there is a mutual benefit in the partnership that is being brought. It is believed that Nigeria is the gateway to Africa. Any investment, any success story that will emanate from Africa, most times starts from Nigeria. Also, we talked about the image when we were talking about the political views of the Belt and Road Initiative. If the Chinese government is able to achieve success in partner with Nigeria in the Belt and Road Initiative, that is a statement to the world that China is a friend of Africa and Africa is ready to embrace Chinese investment. Conclusion. Adequate and proper optimization of the housing market in Nigeria through construction industrialization is a visible way to bridging the deficit in housing stock in Nigeria. Guided by the principle of consultation and collaboration for shared benefit, China-Nigeria cooperation can become a model for China-Africa cooperation and a gateway to the African continent. The Belt and Road Initiative can elevate the strategic partnership to a new level and bring greater benefit to the two countries, that is Nigeria and China. Thank you very much for this, listening to me, and thank you to the past committee for giving me this opportunity to present on Nigeria and the Belt and Road Initiative. This time I would like to hand over back to Ifan for the question and answer section. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Johnson, for such a nice and informative presentation. I hope the participants must have got the benefit from this presentation. So with this, I just move on to the question and answer session. If Johnson, you can also check your chat. You can see some questions from the participants whenever you'd like to answer. The first question, I think before that, I received from Mr. Justin that he asked that China is willing to borrow more money to Africa than America. What is the rationale behind the situation, and what is the potential risk of accepting the subsidies from China under Belt and Road Initiative? You can see this question in your chat also. Or the participant, Mr. Justin, can also ask directly from him. Please unmute your mic and you can ask him directly to the speaker. Can you see, Johnson, can you see the question?
Okay, I can see this question from Mr. Justin. China are willing to borrow more money to Africa than America. What is the rationale behind the situation, and what is the potential risk of accepting subsidies from China under the Belt and Road Initiative? I think, based on my research, I think it's not only China that is willing to borrow African money, but African is also in need of money. However, the potential risk, from what I've identified earlier on, is the issue of fear and doubt of colonization. What is being said outside there is that China is using this Belt and Road Initiative to find a means to colonize against African countries because of the debt profile that accrues from this type of initiative. However, my own submission is for African countries to be able to achieve the best, African countries also have to have something to put on the table. It's not just about expecting subsidies to come from China. What is African country also contributing? Like I mentioned in my presentation, that Nigeria contributes a market that is helping China to achieve its goal. The goal is to improve investment in other countries and also to expand its international reach. If the African countries are bringing something to the table, it won't be a one-way partnership. That means it's a win-win process. By the time China is giving money out, the African countries are also managing the money well in having proper investment done, and also achieving that these investments are profitable and be able to pay back the loans collected from China. I think if this is achieved, the potential risk is a bit low. That's what I would like to say on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. I hope you have answered the question. You can see in your chat another question from Mr. Awais Zahid, that he said, why Nigeria preserved assets in Chinese yuan instead of dollar? China itself preserved in form of gold. So if you can say some words on this.
Which question is that?
If you see in your chat, you can see the question from Mr. Awais Zahid.
Sorry, I can't see that. Maybe you say it again.
I will say again the question from Mr. Awais Zahid. Why Nigeria preserved assets in Chinese yuan instead of dollar? China itself preserved in form of gold. So can you comment on this?
Okay, I think I said it during my presentation that prior to that time, prior to 2018, the foreign reserve in Nigeria used to be in the US dollars. However, with the increasing partnership with China, most of the loans, most of the investment coming into Nigeria, coming to Africa, especially Nigeria, has been from China. There is need for them to strengthen the relationship between the two countries. And I think that is the reason why they adopted the use of Chinese yuan as a second foreign reserve base for Nigeria. I don't think there's any political motive to that, but I believe that is economic motive. They wanted to strengthen the ties between the two countries instead of having to convert to the US dollars in trading with China. There is direct linkage between the two countries. Nigeria can trade directly with China on the international market.
Thank you. There is a question from Mr. Muhammad Hussain. He said, could you please explain what do you mean by market potential optimization? Can you briefly tell this thing?
Okay. Market potential optimization. Nigeria presents a market. I've been able to say that in my presentation. The market is there. However, if the market is not approached in the right way, if the market is approached not to achieve mutual benefit, like I mentioned, the market cannot be optimized because the host nation will also be reserved in their participation in this partnership. So if the market is well approached, if the market entry is good enough, that the two parties understand that it's not just a one-way partnership, it is a win-win that can be achieved between the two countries. Nigeria is gaining in the part of better infrastructure, better housing condition, and China is improving our foreign investment in other African countries, and at the same time having more partnership with other African countries. I think this is what I mean by market optimization.
So there is another question from Mr. Anwar Shahnawaz. What are the impact of USA opposition of Belt and Road Initiative?
It's very enormous. We all know that in the world presently, United States of America is the #1 country in the world. Whatever comes out of the United States of America is seen as true by some countries, and also not just about being true. It's seen as United States is seen as the market that describes other markets. What do I mean by that? China and United States, if you follow the recent trade war, have been having issues when it comes to their agreements on international trade. If China is doing something and the United States is countering it, other countries that believe in the United States, that have more better ties with the United States, we automatically go against investments on China. And I think that is one of the potential weight that the United States of America bring it to the market when it comes to talking against the Belt and Road Initiative.
Okay, we'll maybe move to the last question that from Mr. Syed Asim. He said, as I have got through your presentation that many of the project has been initiated. So now who will gonna ensure its quality management, and how much probability is there that these projects will go beyond the given time frame?
Let me go to the question again.
Yeah, you can see yourself.
So I'll go through. Yes, I think this also answers a question that was asked, that what is Nigeria bringing to the table? If China is investment in Nigeria, I don't believe China should be in charge of the management of this project. That is another thing that Nigeria as a government, as a country should be looking at. It's not just enough having this project constructed, having this project done in Nigeria. It is important that these projects are well managed to achieve optimization and also for the sustainability of this project. So if we are talking about that, I think that is a function of the Nigerian government to achieve. That is another thing that the Nigerian government should bring to the table. It's not just about collecting investments from outside there, but also making sure that these investments are worthwhile and lasting.
Thank you. Before moving to the last question, I take this opportunity to ask this last question, and after that we will move to the feedback poll. It will just take another 5 minutes. My question is, from your presentation, Mr. Johnson, you mentioned that Nigeria is a middle income country. Considering the cost of prefabricated construction, what can you say about affordability of this type of construction in Nigeria? Will it be affordable in Nigeria?
Oh, thank you very much for that question, Ifan. It's a good question. I think from the statistics released by the Center for African Housing Finance, it was said that there is no sustainable housing scheme without it being affordable. So affordability is key when it comes to housing mass customization and provision. To answer that question, I would like to draw us back to our basic economics. When we talk about economies of scales, we understand that by the time you produce on a massive scale, there's a time you break even. And after breaking even, you can start having profit. After breaking even, then the price determination can be made based on the demand and supply curve. So by the time you break even, I believe the cost will be reduced. Let's take, for example, our computer, the computer we are using now. When the computer was first invented, it was very difficult for a common man to use the computer because it was very expensive. That was because the demand was not enough to satisfy the supply. But at the time the demand increased, the supply was and demand equated together, and the price was reduced. And now anybody that desires to have a computer can have a computer. That is my first answer to that. I believe by the time mass customization and adoption increases in the country, the price will reduce and regulate itself. That's the first one. The second thing I would like to talk about when it comes to affordability of this process is that if the technology can be localized, like I mentioned in one of my slides, with the availability of cheap labor in Nigeria, we can see that can bring down the cost of production of these modules. Unlike here in Hong Kong, we know that most of the modules are manufactured in China, transported to Hong Kong for installation. There are some little expenses that are involved during transportation and during the supply chain. But if the materials are available, like they are available in Nigeria, the cheap labor is available also in Nigeria. The combination of all this will eventually have a great impact in reducing the cost of production, and the cost of production, if it is reduced, will also reduce the cost at which the public housing are being let out.
Thank you very much, Johnson. I think for now we just end up this workshop. Before ending this, I tried my actually I wanted to make a feedback poll, but right now there's some technical issues. I'm unable to do so. So I'm just sending a link to all of you. You can just give us your feedback so that in the future we can improve on these workshops. And secondly, I would also like to inform you all that this is a series of workshop. This was the 7th in number, and the next one is within next 2 or 3 weeks. We are coming again, so I'll like to inform you all that you can join the next workshop again. Well, once again would like to thank you all for your participation in this workshop. Mr. Johnson, thank you very much, and have a good evening and stay safe.
Thank you very much for having me.